Leave It to Beaver, 1957–1963, remains a timeless classic, celebrated for its heartfelt depiction of family life and the charming misadventures of Beaver Cleaver and his older brother Wally. With its relatable stories and endearing characters, the show became a cultural touchstone for generations. But what happened to the beloved cast who brought the Cleaver family to life? Now, 67 years later in 2024, we look back at the lives and legacies of Jerry Mathers, Tony Dow, Barbara Billingsley, Hugh Beaumont, and the talented ensemble. From career highlights and surprising ventures to personal challenges and touching farewells, discover how the stars of this iconic series have continued to inspire and captivate fans over the decades. Barbara Billingsley was born on December 22, 1915. She starred as June Cleaver, the perfect 1950s housewife, in the iconic series Leave It to Beaver, which began in 1957. June Cleaver was the epitome of maternal grace, often offering wisdom and guidance to her children, especially her two sons, Wally and Beaver. Billingsley was 41 years old when she first portrayed the character. Despite her professional success, Barbara's personal life was marked by a series of struggles. She experienced a difficult first marriage to Glenn Billingsley Sr., whom she married in 1941. The couple had two sons, but they divorced in 1947. She later remarried in 1959 to a man named Roy Colino, but tragically, he passed away in 1963. Barbara faced the pain of being widowed twice and balancing single motherhood, but she remained dedicated to her career. Though Leave It to Beaver gave her lasting fame, her later years were overshadowed by personal loss, as her second son, Glenn Billingsley Jr., passed away in 1981. Barbara Billingsley lived to the age of 94, passing away on October 16, 2010, due to polymyalgia, a condition that causes muscle pain and stiffness. Hugh Beaumont was born on February 16, 1909. He played the ever-patient and wise Ward Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, a role he took on from 1957 until the show ended in 1963. Ward was the calm father figure who provided moral lessons to his sons, Beaver and Wally, guiding them through life's challenges with wisdom and authority. At 48 years old when the show started, Beaumont's life and career had already seen considerable ups and downs. Before becoming Ward Cleaver, Hugh faced financial hardships, working as a director and actor in smaller films, struggling to break into mainstream success. His personal life was also troubled, as he experienced a strained marriage to his first wife, which ended in divorce in the 1930s. Later, he remarried and had two children, but his second marriage also encountered difficulties. Tragically, Hugh faced the heart-wrenching death of his son in a car accident in the 1960s, adding to the emotional weight of his later years. He passed away from a heart attack on May 14, 1982, at the age of 73. Tony Dow, born on April 13, 1945, portrayed Wally Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957. Wally was the ideal older brother, embodying the traits of responsibility and popularity, always ready to give his younger sibling, Beaver, advice. Dow was just 12 years old when he began playing the role. Outside of his TV career, Dow faced a series of personal challenges. Although he was a talented actor and director, his career never reached the same heights as in his youth, and he battled periods of depression and financial difficulties. Dow's personal life was marked by struggles with mental health and body image, despite his early fame. He was married twice, first to Carol Marlowe in 1969, with whom he had one son, Christopher Dow. The marriage ended in divorce in 1980. Dow later married Lauren Shulkind in 1980, and they remained together until his death. His life was ultimately overshadowed by his battle with cancer, which led to his passing on July 27, 2022, at the age of 77. Ken Osmond, born on June 7, 1943, played the iconic role of Eddie Haskell, Wally's deceitful yet charming friend, in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957. Eddie's polite demeanor to adults contrasted sharply with his mischievous actions behind their backs. Osmond was 14 years old when he began portraying Eddie. Although his character became a beloved part of the show, Osmond's life was fraught with difficulties. After the series ended, he struggled to find substantial acting work and turned to various jobs, including a career in law enforcement. Osmond's personal life was not without its challenges either. He married a woman named Sarah in 1969, and they had 2 sons, but their life together faced its own set of struggles, including the pressures of fame and the financial difficulties that followed. Osmond also battled health issues, including the effects of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, which contributed to his passing on May 18, 2020, at the age of 76. Stanley Fafara was born on September 20, 1950. He portrayed Whitey Whitney, one of Beaver Cleaver's closest friends, in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957. Whitey was known for his mischievous ways and playful antics, often dragging Beaver into trouble. Fafara was just 7 years old when he began playing this role. However, his life outside of acting was filled with difficulties. After Leave It to Beaver ended, Stanley struggled with finding consistent work in Hollywood. His personal life was marked by hardships, including a turbulent marriage, battles with substance abuse, and financial instability. He had a difficult relationship with his family, and at times, his personal life seemed to spiral. He passed away on September 20, 2003, at the age of 53, due to complications from hernia surgery. His death was a tragic end to a life that had been filled with both early fame and personal struggles. Jerry Mathers was born on June 2, 1948. He became a household name as Theodore Beaver Cleaver in Leave It to Beaver, which aired from 1957 to 1963. Playing the mischievous yet lovable youngest son of Ward and June Cleaver, Jerry was just 9 years old when he began portraying Beaver. Despite the show's success, Mathers faced a turbulent path in his personal and professional life. After Leave It to Beaver ended, he struggled to transition from child actor to adult roles, leading to a period of uncertainty in his career. Mathers also went through personal struggles, including a highly publicized and difficult divorce in the 1980s, which caused emotional strain. His first marriage, which lasted from 1974 to 1981, resulted in 2 children. He later remarried in 2011, and his family life has been more stable in recent years. Despite the challenges, Mathers has embraced his legacy, attending reunions and participating in various interviews. Today, Jerry is 76 years old, continuing to enjoy a relatively quiet life, often sharing his reflections on his time as Beaver. Robert Rusty Stevens, born on November 25, 1948, portrayed Larry Mondello, Beaver's mischievous friend, in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957. Larry was a frequent companion to Beaver in their many youthful misadventures, often leading him into trouble. Stevens was just 9 years old when he took on the role. After the show, Stevens' life took a different turn, as he chose to leave acting behind at a young age. Although he later returned to some acting roles in adulthood, Stevens faced difficulties in establishing a stable career. His personal life was marked by several struggles, including financial hardship and the challenges of growing up under the public eye. Stevens has been married twice but has kept much of his personal life private. He has no known children and has lived a relatively low-profile life since leaving Hollywood. Currently, Stevens is 75 years old and maintains a private lifestyle, staying out of the limelight but occasionally appearing in nostalgic reunions related to Leave It to Beaver. Stephen Talbot was born on February 28, 1949. He played Gilbert Bates, a friend of Beaver's known for his tendency to exaggerate and tell wild stories, starting in 1959. Gilbert often found himself in the middle of various predicaments, making him an interesting and dynamic character. Talbot was 10 years old when he began the role. As he grew older, Stephen found success in television and film, but his career had its ups and downs. While he worked steadily, he was never able to replicate the fame he achieved as Gilbert Bates. His personal life was not without its challenges either. Talbot experienced a troubled marriage, and although he has children, his family life was marked by difficult separations. Despite these trials, Talbot remained resilient and continued to work in the industry. Now, at 75 years old, he reflects on his time as Gilbert with fondness, though the years since have been a mixture of quiet reflection and sporadic appearances in media. Sue Randall, born on October 8, 1935, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, made a lasting impression on TV audiences with her portrayal of Miss Alice Landers in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1958. As a teacher, Miss Landers was known for her kindness, patience, and gentle guidance, offering moral lessons to the Cleaver children, especially Beaver. Randall was just 23 years old when she began playing the beloved character. Her career, however, did not flourish as expected after Leave It to Beaver. She appeared in a few other television series and films, but struggled to find roles that matched the success of her portrayal of Miss Landers. In her personal life, Randall never married, and she lived a relatively quiet life. However, she faced health battles, notably with lung cancer, which she struggled with for years. Tragically, Sue Randall passed away from lung cancer on October 26, 1984, at the age of 49. Despite her relatively short career, she left an indelible mark on the hearts of fans who remember her as the compassionate schoolteacher on one of America's most iconic TV shows. Richard Correll was born on May 14, 1948. He portrayed Richard Rickover, one of Beaver's loyal friends, in Leave It to Beaver beginning in 1960. Richard was the kind of friend who always stood by Beaver's side, even in the most troublesome situations. Correll was just 12 years old when he took on the role. Over the years, Richard faced many personal challenges. After his time on the show, he struggled with finding substantial roles, and his career trajectory was not as promising as some of his peers. His personal life saw several difficulties, including a difficult marriage that ended in divorce. He had children, but his family life was also strained at times. In the 1990s, Correll faced serious health issues that affected both his career and personal happiness. Nevertheless, he persisted in the entertainment world and found solace in occasional appearances. Now, at 76 years old, he lives a quieter life, remembering his role as Richard Rickover fondly, though the challenges of his past still linger. Buddy Joe Hooker, born on May 30, 1942, in Los Angeles, California, is best known for his role as Chester Anderson, one of Wally Cleaver's fun-loving and sometimes mischievous friends, in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957. Hooker was just 15 years old when he began portraying Chester, and his youthful energy and playful demeanor made him a favorite among fans. Though he made several appearances on television and in film, Hooker's acting career never took off in the way he had hoped. He found it difficult to escape the typecasting that often comes with playing a beloved sidekick character. In his personal life, Buddy Joe Hooker faced the pressures of growing up in the entertainment industry, and he later moved away from acting. As an adult, Hooker kept a low profile, and little is known about his personal relationships or family life. Now 82 years old, Buddy Joe Hooker has maintained a quiet existence away from the public eye. Richard Deacon, born on May 14, 1922, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is best remembered for his role as Fred Rutherford in Leave It to Beaver, which he started portraying in 1957. Fred was the pompous, often condescending father of Lumpy Rutherford, a character who frequently clashed with Ward Cleaver. Deacon's portrayal of Fred was marked by his perfect comedic timing and ability to play the foil to the more down-to-earth Cleaver family. Deacon was 35 years old when he began his role, and while he had a successful career, he often found himself playing similar characters. His personal life was filled with challenges. He was married twice and struggled with health issues in his later years. His career, though steady, was hindered by being typecast. Despite these obstacles, Deacon remained a beloved figure for his work in television. Sadly, he passed away on August 8, 1984, at the age of 62, due to hypertensive heart disease. Although his life had its ups and downs, Richard Deacon's legacy lives on through his memorable performance on Leave It to Beaver. Eddie Marr was born on February 14, 1900. He appeared in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957 as a bus passenger. While his role was minor, Eddie Marr's presence in the show remained memorable, especially in his brief interactions with the main characters. At 57 years old when he began this role, Marr had already established himself as a seasoned actor, with a career spanning decades. However, his life was not without personal hardships. Marr faced a long struggle with health issues, which plagued him in his later years. His career had its ups and downs, with many roles in television and film, but he never reached the same level of fame as many of his co-stars. Marr was married, but there were reports of personal challenges in his marriage, which was plagued by the pressures of his busy work life and health struggles. Eddie Marr passed away on August 25, 1987, at the age of 87, after a long battle with undisclosed health problems. Burt Mustin was born on February 8, 1884. He is best remembered for his role as Gus the fireman in Leave It to Beaver, a role he began in 1957. Gus was the charming, friendly firefighter who often offered advice to Beaver and his friends. Mustin was 73 years old when he took on the role, bringing a wealth of life experience and a grandfatherly presence to the show. His career had already spanned decades by the time he joined Leave It to Beaver, with numerous roles in both television and film. However, despite his success, Mustin faced personal hardships. He had a long, tumultuous marriage, which ended in divorce. His later years were marked by loneliness, but he remained active in the industry. He also faced the loss of many close friends, and the toll of aging left him with few family connections. Burt Mustin passed away on January 28, 1977, at the age of 92 due to natural causes. His death marked the end of a remarkable career, but he is fondly remembered for his gentle portrayal of Gus. Cindy Carroll was born on October 11, 1944. She played Alma Hansen, one of Beaver's classmates, starting in 1957. Alma was a sweet and innocent character, a reflection of the idealized childhood that Leave It to Beaver sought to portray. At 13 years old when she joined the cast, Carroll quickly became a beloved part of the show, even if her screen time was limited. However, Cindy's career didn't have the same longevity as some of her co-stars. She faced difficulty transitioning into adult roles and spent many years away from acting. Carroll's personal life was complicated, marked by struggles with relationships and finances. She married twice, with both marriages ending in divorce. Cindy also experienced the pain of losing her first child, which deeply affected her. Her life was a series of ups and downs, as she tried to find balance in her personal and professional endeavors. Today, Cindy Carroll is 80 years old and lives a quiet life, mostly out of the public eye, reflecting on her role as one of the iconic child stars of Leave It to Beaver. Madge Blake was born on May 31, 1899. She portrayed Mrs. Margaret Mondello, Larry Mondello's mother, on Leave It to Beaver, beginning in 1958. Mrs. Mondello was known for her kind, if somewhat frazzled, nature, dealing with the antics of her son, Larry. Blake was 59 years old when she joined the cast. Despite her late start in television, she brought depth and warmth to her role. However, her personal life was marked by struggles. Madge had one son, whom she raised as a single mother, and she faced financial instability after her husband left her. Her career never reached the heights she hoped for, and her later years were overshadowed by health problems. The burden of losing both her parents at a young age and her own health challenges took a toll on her. Despite her best efforts, Madge Blake's life was marred by moments of isolation and tragedy. She passed away on February 19, 1969, at the age of 69, due to a heart attack, cutting her promising future short. Diane Brewster was born on March 11, 1931. She played Miss Canfield, Beaver's first-grade teacher, in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957. Brewster was 26 years old when she began her portrayal of the kind, patient teacher who guided Beaver through his early education. However, behind the gentle persona of Miss Canfield, Brewster's own life was filled with struggles. While her career in acting flourished, she faced difficulties in her personal relationships, including a marriage that ended in divorce. Brewster also battled with health issues, particularly heart disease, which overshadowed her personal life in her later years. She had one child, but the challenges of being a single mother while managing her health struggles made it difficult for her to balance career and family life. Despite these hardships, Brewster maintained a dignified presence in Hollywood. Diane Brewster passed away on November 12, 1991, at the age of 60, due to heart failure, leaving behind a legacy of warmth in her iconic role as Miss Canfield. Madge Kennedy was born on April 19, 1891. She portrayed Aunt Martha Bronson, Beaver's great-aunt, starting in 1957. Aunt Martha was characterized by her old-fashioned views and her loving, nurturing presence in the family. Kennedy was 66 years old when she took on this role, having had a long career in the entertainment industry. Despite her experience and success on stage and screen, Kennedy's later years were marked by personal loss and struggle. Her career had seen some high points, but she faced significant financial issues during her retirement, as well as the pain of losing close friends in the industry. Kennedy's personal life was often clouded by loneliness, as she never had children of her own, which added to her sense of isolation. Her marriage to a fellow actor ended in divorce after several years, further deepening her sense of disillusionment. Madge Kennedy passed away on June 9, 1987, at the age of 96 due to respiratory failure, closing the chapter on a long life marked by both achievement and personal tribulations. Claudia Bryar was born on May 18, 1918, and played the librarian in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1958. The librarian was a character who balanced strictness with an underlying compassion, becoming an interesting and memorable part of the show. Bryar was 40 years old when she began portraying the character, and while she enjoyed some fame in the 1950s and 1960s, her career faced many challenges. As an older actress in Hollywood, she struggled to find steady roles, especially as the industry shifted and opportunities for women in her age group were limited. In her personal life, Claudia had a difficult marriage that ended in divorce, leaving her with a sense of emotional loneliness. Her relationship with her children was strained, and she faced long periods of isolation. Health issues in her later years added to her burdens, though she continued working when possible. Claudia's life, while filled with professional accomplishments, was marred by personal and emotional difficulties that made her later years more difficult. She passed away on June 16, 2011, at the age of 93, after dealing with various health complications. Wendell Holmes was born on August 17, 1914, and is best remembered for his role as Mr. Blair in Leave It to Beaver, a role he began in 1958. Mr. Blair was a somewhat stern but fair character, often seen guiding the Cleaver boys with a no-nonsense approach. Holmes was 44 years old when he began playing Mr. Blair, a role that added a touch of authority to the series. Outside of acting, however, Wendell's life was filled with personal struggles. His career, though consistent, did not bring him the same fame as many of his co-stars, and he battled with various emotional and physical health issues. Wendell's first marriage ended in divorce, and his personal life was marked by periods of isolation and financial difficulties. In his final years, Wendell struggled with his health, particularly heart problems, which ultimately led to his death. He passed away on April 27, 1962, at the age of 47, from a heart attack. His untimely death was a tragic end to a life that, despite his professional success, was fraught with personal hardship. Jean Vander Pyl was born on October 11, 1919, and began portraying Mrs. Woods in Leave It to Beaver in 1959. Known for her kind and nurturing personality, Mrs. Woods was the epitome of warmth and care in a show that often emphasized family values. Vander Pyl was 40 years old when she joined the cast, and her performance resonated with fans who appreciated her gentle and supportive character. Despite her successful acting career, Jean faced many challenges in her personal life. She had multiple marriages, none of which were successful, and struggled with emotional issues, including periods of loneliness and depression. Her career was also filled with ups and downs. She was most famously known for voicing Wilma Flintstone in The Flintstones, a role that brought her a different type of recognition. However, the demands of work, combined with her personal difficulties, weighed heavily on her. Jean eventually found solace in her craft but continued to face emotional battles. She passed away on April 10, 1999, at the age of 79, due to undisclosed causes. Frank Wilcox, born on March 13, 1907, in New York City, portrayed the district court judge in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1958. At 51 years old, Wilcox was an experienced actor with a career spanning film and television, where he often played authority figures. Although his professional life was relatively stable, his personal life was far more tumultuous. Wilcox went through a difficult marriage and faced mounting financial troubles, which contributed to emotional distress. His health deteriorated over the years, with heart issues that plagued him in his later life. Wilcox's struggle with health problems ultimately led to his death on March 3, 1974, at the age of 66 from a heart attack. His passing marked the end of a long career in which he was known for his strong performances, but his personal struggles cast a shadow over his life and legacy. Despite the adversity he faced, Wilcox's contributions to television and film remain significant. Edgar Buchanan, born on March 20, 1903, in Humansville, Missouri, was a respected character actor known for his charming, down-to-earth persona. He joined Leave It to Beaver in 1957, playing Captain Jack, a friendly and adventurous character. Buchanan was 54 years old when he took on the role, having already built a career in film and television. His career spanned several decades, with notable appearances in westerns and comedies. However, his personal life was not as smooth as his on-screen image. He experienced a painful divorce in the 1940s, which left him emotionally scarred. Despite achieving success, he faced financial difficulties in his later years, struggling to maintain stability. His health also declined, with a stroke taking his life at the age of 76 on April 4, 1979. Buchanan's passing marked the end of a career that, while beloved, was overshadowed by personal challenges in his battle with health issues. Marjorie Reynolds, born on August 12, 1917, in Buell, Idaho, had a promising career in Hollywood, starring in iconic films such as Holiday Inn. She joined Leave It to Beaver in 1960, portraying Mrs. Murdoch, a role that showcased her warm and caring nature. At 43 years old, Reynolds was well established in her career, but her personal life took a downturn in the years following her rise to fame. She experienced a difficult divorce and was confronted by health issues, including congestive heart failure, which increasingly affected her ability to work. Reynolds struggled with financial challenges, and in her later years, she lived in relative obscurity. Despite her earlier success, Reynolds found herself distanced from the limelight, and her final years were marked by both physical and emotional struggles. She passed away on February 1, 1997, at the age of 79. Though remembered for her significant contributions to film and television, her later years were overshadowed by personal difficulties and health problems. John Hoyt, born on October 5, 1905, in Bronx, New York, was a veteran actor who brought a commanding presence to his role as the clothier in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1958, at the age of 53. Hoyt's career spanned several decades, with appearances in films and TV shows, often portraying authoritative characters. Despite his professional achievements, Hoyt's personal life was turbulent. His multiple marriages ended in divorce, and he struggled with loneliness and personal disappointment. While he was admired for his powerful performances, his later years were clouded by health problems, particularly lung cancer, which would ultimately claim his life. Hoyt passed away on September 15, 1991, at the age of 85, leaving behind a legacy of solid performances but a life marred by personal struggles and illness. His death marked the end of a career that was both impactful and tainted by his personal hardships. John Hart was born on December 13, 1917. He played a construction worker in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1958. His character was hardworking, friendly, and dependable, traits that reflected Hart's own personality. At 41 years old when he joined the cast, Hart's career had already spanned 2 decades, but it was often interrupted by personal and professional difficulties. Despite his experience, he never achieved the same level of fame as some of his peers, often relegated to supporting roles. His personal life was equally tumultuous. Hart faced multiple divorces and was estranged from his children for much of his life. He also suffered from mental health challenges, particularly depression, which affected his ability to maintain long-term relationships and stability. As Hart grew older, he began to suffer from dementia, which led to his withdrawal from public life. He passed away on September 20, 2009, at the age of 91, due to complications from dementia, leaving a career filled with both accomplishments and heartache. Katherine Warren was born on July 12, 1905. She played Mrs. Prescott in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1957, a role that showcased her dignified and caring nature. At 52 years old, Warren brought a calm presence to the show, becoming a reliable and nurturing figure for the Cleaver family. Her career had been marked by steady work in both theater and film, but her personal life was not as stable. Warren's marriage to a fellow actor was strained, and they ultimately divorced, though they had one child together. Throughout her life, Katherine experienced the pain of professional setbacks and the personal tragedy of losing loved ones in the prime of her career. She also struggled with health issues, which affected her later years. Despite these challenges, Warren remained dedicated to her craft. She passed away on July 17, 1965, at the age of 60 due to coronary thrombosis and arteriosclerosis, leaving behind a legacy of grace and strength. Frank Sully was born on June 17, 1908. He portrayed a jovial and helpful cab driver in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1958. At 50 years old when he took on the role, Sully's career was already in its third decade. Although his character was full of cheer, Sully's personal life was far less happy. He faced financial struggles throughout his career and had difficulty finding consistent work after his time on Leave It to Beaver. Sully's family life was complicated, having married and divorced multiple times. He experienced deep sadness from his estranged relationships with his children and the loss of close family members. As his career wound down, he battled health issues that prevented him from enjoying the later years of his life. Sully's passing in 1975 at the age of 67 marked the end of a life filled with both comedic triumphs and personal tribulations. He died on December 17, 1975, from natural causes, leaving a legacy of memorable television roles amidst personal hardships. Henry Hunter was born on October 9, 1907. He portrayed Mr. Briggs in Leave It to Beaver starting in 1960. Known for his stern yet fair demeanor, Hunter brought an authoritative but kind presence to the screen. He was 53 years old when he began the role, and his career had already seen many ups and downs. Henry's personal life mirrored some of the struggles his characters faced, with multiple failed marriages and the painful experience of being estranged from his children for years. His greatest challenges came later in life, when he suffered a series of financial problems and struggled with depression. He was diagnosed with heart issues in his later years, and his health deteriorated. Despite his hardships, Hunter maintained a career in television and film until his passing. He passed away on May 25, 1985, at the age of 77 due to a heart attack, leaving behind a mixed legacy of both triumph and tragedy. Who is your favorite character from Leave It to Beaver 1957 to 1963? How do you feel knowing that some of the actors have passed away? Don't hesitate to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss future videos. Thank you so much.